Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 cast by Glitch. This is going to be a PvT on Metalopolis. Spawning in the 6 o'clock position we have oGsNaDa as the blue Terran. oGsNaDa is not a player I think that needs huge introduction. He is a pretty well-known team. If you don't know who Nada is, you probably at least know of the team OGS, which has produced a lot of excellent players from Korea. Spawning in the 12 o'clock position as the red Protoss, we have who I believe is MvPTails. Tails is a player, a Protoss player obviously, from the team MVP, not to be confused with the Terran StarCraft 2 player MVP. He is a Protoss player that I don't know a whole lot about. I haven't seen a whole lot of games of this guy, but I just wanted to cast some Korean games. I was looking online and I wanted to cast some Korean games because I do get to watch a lot of North American and European players on live streams, but I do not get to catch that many Korean players. I don't know whether it's because I'm just not looking in the right place. I used to watch a lot of Celawera. He's a excellent Korean Zerg player, but lately I haven't seen his stream. I don't know whether that's because he doesn't stream too much anymore or just because I haven't been watching him a lot lately. I'm not sure why, but I don't watch a lot of Korean games these days, and I mean, Korean players are such good players, especially the ones from teams like MVP and OGS. I just love to cast these games, and so I was on the lookout for a Korean game, and I actually asked one of my good friends, JK, who actually suggested to me that I cast a PvT, and so that is the reason I picked this particular game. This is a game that I believe was uploaded within the past day or two. I think it was just a game played on Battle.net, and they do have some banter going on here that I just do not read fast enough to read. There's no way I can read that as well as translate it in the time that they type it. But oGsNaDa here, going for a pretty standard build so far, has built a command center and gone for an orbital command on 15. That is the generally accepted best time to go for an orbital command. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but apparently I'm getting messages in the background. I apologize for that, and apparently they won't stop messaging me. Alright, I don't know why, but I guess we'll find out later. I'll find out later. Interestingly enough, a command center is now going down for oGsNaDa. This is a very, very fast command center. I believe it went down on 17 food. That is a very fast command center, considering he only has one Marine at the moment. He's going for a very quick command center, going to get some very early econ. On the tail side of things, we have just one gateway up at the moment, so I guess it's a little bit mirrored on the Protoss side of things. We've got one gateway up. Cybercore. I actually got corrected on this on one of my other casts. Is for some reason, I don't know where I picked this up from, but I have a habit of calling the cybernetics core the Cybocore. I don't know if anyone else calls it that or whether it's just me, but that's what I have always called it ever since the start of StarCraft 2, and one of my subscribers was nice enough to point out that it is not a Cybo core, and it is a Cyber core if you are going to shorten it, which I believe makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to try to catch myself on this every time. We do have the Cyber core researching Warpgate. Warpgate is coming up right now. It is about halfway done. We have two gateways down, two gateways producing a couple of sentries right now. That indicates to me that, yes, we probably have an expansion here coming down. Anytime you see sentries coming up onto the field, it is usually because they are trying to save up minerals for either an expansion or some more gateways, and still keeping those gateways in use. It's an excellent way of doing that. There is a probe scout here now, or no, the probe scout I guess got taken out by these Marines as they came to the front. There were a lot of Marines here, and I think if we look at the vision of Tails, yeah, he has not seen anything at all yet in oGsNaDa's base. He does have his Stalker at the front, though, to watch and check for an expansion. He does see that there is no expansion, but begins to throw down an expansion of his own. With this Stalker here, he will be able to know when oGsNaDa decides to move out, if he does choose to do so. This Stalkers do tend to be pretty quick units. They are, I believe, faster than Marines and Marauders. Their move speed is 2.95. Marines move at 2.25. So yeah, Stalkers are indeed faster than Marines and Marauders. So this means that if these units do move out, Tails will see them and will start to move back and be able to get back to his base with no units lost. Now there's a small force of Marines and Marauders that Tails has now scouted and is retreating to his base, just as I thought. His Nexus is almost coming up. I haven't seen oGsNaDa yet move this command center. This command center did complete a while ago. He didn't move it yet. He was just using it for the mules there for a little while to get that extra mineral boost. Ghost Academy now coming down for oGsNaDa. This is a very common move from Terran players when they're playing Terran versus Protoss. Ghosts just are really good against Protoss. I mean, all Protoss units have shields, and Ghost's EMPs allow the Terran players to take out all the shields within a small area of all the Protoss units, as well as the energy. If there are any High Templar in the mix or anything like that, they are able to knock out all the shields and basically instantly take down half the life of a small group of units. Very, very good against Protoss players. So far for on the Tails camp, we have a robotics facility which is coming down and just popping out an observer and another observer coming down. We do have a robotics bay coming down, though. This does indicate to me that we will be seeing some Colossus here pretty shortly, which is another standard way of playing Protoss against Terran. Colossus do tend to do a lot of damage against those ground forces. With that Stalker, he did scout the large Marine Marauder army that oGsNaDa was coming up with. This means he doesn't have to worry about any kind of factory or starport units yet. And he's just producing some Colossus because he knows that those Colossus are darned good against those ground units of Terrans. If we check out the Harvester count right now, we can see Protoss is actually a little ahead in Harvesters right now. Terran is way up in the income count, though. If you look at the income count, he is kind of jumping ahead there. That is because of those mules. Those mules get you a lot of extra income for those Terran. Even though he is down in Harvesters, he is up in the income. We do have a force now moving out from oGsNaDa with those couple of ghosts. The second he got those couple of ghosts, he decided to move out with a nice little timing push there. Tails actually splitting his forces up a little bit. This is probably to try to reduce any EMPs. Yes, see, those EMPs went off. Did not manage to get all the units. Did get a good chunk of them, though. Managed to sap all the energy from one of those sentries, as well as the shields of a lot of different units. And there is a Colossus up here that, oh man, Tails really needs to pull that back, or that is going to be taken out. It did manage to get a few kills, I think, before it went down. It looks like Tails is going to be able to hold this force off. He does have, well, actually, he's only got 2 warp gates up right now. He did go for a 2-gate robo build, and he is now throwing down a couple more gateways onto that, so he was not able to warp in too many more units there. But he did manage to do enough damage to oGsNaDa that oGsNaDa is now just going to pull back and try to regroup and build up some more forces. We do have a starport now coming onto the field. Now that oGsNaDa scouted that Colossus, I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw down that starport and start pumping out a few Vikings. We do have a reactor also coming down the factory. This is probably going to be for a swap of the starport onto that reactor so that he can start producing either medevacs or Vikings. I'm betting on some Vikings early on just to try to deal with those Colossus that are now coming onto the field that oGsNaDa had scouted. Right now we do have on the field, we have 4 racks down for oGsNaDa, and there's that starport which just finished, and there is the swap. No research yet coming down for those ghosts, but we do have infantry level 1 attack upgrades coming up for his infantry units. This is something that I really like. These infantry units do tend to be very, very strong. When I play Terran, I tend to heavily favor those infantry units. Good spotting there by oGsNaDa. Managed to spot the little shimmer that was that observer as it crossed the field there, and managed to get that little scan off and get a small victory there. Tails now placing a forward pylon here as he moves out with some of his forces. Looks like he's going to try to go for an attack of his own. As a scout factory comes in, I think he did probably, yes, oGsNaDa definitely managed to see those units, especially since they are now attacking the factory. I think oGsNaDa is going to be aware that there are forces moving across the field. 2 medevacs are actually now on the field, and there come the Vikings. The Vikings are now coming down to try to deal with those Colossus, and I don't think this factory is going to get too much more scouting information, as Tails is going to be able to clean that factory up. Interesting move by Tails there. I'm not sure how I feel about about spending all that time attacking that factory, because that did allow Terran to kind of stall and build up some more forces. He didn't have quite this Marine Marauder force here earlier, and I think if Tails had pushed in a little bit earlier with that attack, then oGsNaDa would have been a little more unprepared for it. But because they did chase that factory for a little while, it did allow oGsNaDa to build up quite a force here, and he does still have a couple of ghosts on the field with a lot of energy, so he is going to be able to get a few good EMPs down, and if he is, then I think he should be able to hold that. This is a lot of forces, though. He needs to get those Zealots out in the front to try to absorb some of the damage from those Marine Marauders. Vikings, a couple of Vikings now on the field trying to take out those Colossus. They do have that Thermal Lance, which gives them a huge range, and they are doing massive damage. These Colossus are getting a lot of kills, but oh man, 4 Vikings are now on the field cleaning those Colossus up and allowing these Marauders to just do a lot of damage and a lot of kiting on those Zealots. oGsNaDa now pushing forward with these forces to take out that forward pylon. It'll be interesting to see whether he decides to push in and try to see if he can actually attack the base of Tails. On the tail side of things, we now do have 6 gateways up, so we are seeing a heavy gateway force, and wow, he really wants that Robo facility good and protected. Can a Colossus? I think if we actually look, I think Colossus can get out of there. It is possible to trap a Colossus inside of your base if you completely surround that Robo facility, so just something to know for you Protoss players there. You don't want to completely surround your robotics facility because you will trap your poor Colossus in those bases. A couple of forges now coming down for Tails. I like this play. I always favor those upgrades. I love upgrades on my units. They cost just the price of, well, in the case of the attack upgrades, they cost about the same as, oh wait, hold on here, there's an engagement here coming down. oGsNaDa has moved out across the field, and there are a lot of Vikings here doing damage to these Colossus. Well, I guess not a lot, but enough to deal damage to those Colossus. A lot of Colossus there getting taken down. I think he lost 3 Colossus in that engagement with those Vikings out front. Those Vikings have huge range and were able to do quite a bit of damage to those Colossus, but those were just too many forces there for oGsNaDa to feel comfortable pushing in again, so he's just pulling back nice and safe. As I was saying before, I do like these upgrades by any player, really. I mean, Terran, Protoss, whatever race you're playing, I do really enjoy those upgrades because for the cost of a couple of Stalkers, or maybe the cost of 1 Colossus, you improve your entire army. You increase all the damage and all the armor of every unit, every ground unit you have on the field, and this is just, they just make your units so much more effective. And anytime I see upgrades getting neglected, I do tend to cringe just a little bit. I love my upgrades, I have to say. oGsNaDa now moving a command center in here to the gold expansion. Tails taking an expansion of his own while he scouts this base, and again oGsNaDa spots that little shimmer. Very, very acute vision there by oGsNaDa. So Tails does know that this gold expansion is going up, and has decided to take a third of his own. Worth noting, wow, oGsNaDa seemed to produce another factory. For some reason, even though he was not using that factory, he decided to make another factory for, I guess, for scouting, more scouting. That's an interesting move there by oGsNaDa, considering that Terran has probably one of the best scouting tools in the game, the orbital command Scan. oGsNaDa has now spotted that there is a third coming down for Tails, and is now moving out to try to deny that third base. This is an excellent move, I feel, by oGsNaDa. Anytime you expand, it's always a good idea to try to attack if you can, to put pressure on your opponent. This will make sure that your opponent does not attack your base, because they will have to defend their own. So anytime you can attack while expanding, it is an excellent move to make. There are 6 Vikings on the field here. Nice placement of those Vikings, staying nice and far back, and kind of off to the side to kind of deal some damage from the side. Tails not moving those Colossus back at all, so not getting much. Oh wow, and a GG from Tails. That was a quick and decisive win there by oGsNaDa. He was able to just push in with really just a lot of forces, and those without those Colossus to deal a lot of damage to these ground forces. These Vikings just took those Colossus out and just were able to do just a lot of damage to those Colossus, and leaving these Marine Marauder forces to just clean up Tails' army. And if you liked what you guys saw here, please comment, please subscribe, please let me know what you guys think of these games. I am trying to do at least 1 cast a day during the week, And I really hope that you guys tune in. I really enjoy doing this casting, and I'd love to see some more of you guys watching my videos. So please comment, please subscribe, and good game, guys.